Hey, we are live. Hello, hello. I'm so glad we're back, and I know that you are enjoying this day as much as I am. Oh my gosh, how good has the morning been so far? Man, we're really just have such diversity in the club and so many different kinds of experts to hear from. And we're getting all these really cool tidbits, things that we can implement and really start using right now. I know you're enjoying it as much as I am. If you have just arrived, do make sure to give that a shout out in the comments about how awesome the morning's been. If you haven't seen the morning, that's okay. The replays will be up and ready for the next few days. And remember to let me know where you're listening in from and tell me about your business. I love hearing from you. I'm glad that you're here. We've been having such a fun time on the Joypreneur Summit. This is day 4. Oh my gosh, it went so fast, didn't it? So if you have been part of the summit, but maybe you didn't realize, like, first of all, there's an agenda for the rest of the day. But second of all, every single speaker has given some kind of a free gift, and you can go get that free gift just by making sure and clicking the link in the description. When you click the link in the description, it's going to give you access not only to Lee's gift, which we'll talk about in just a moment, but to everybody else who is on today, everybody else who's in the summit, and our daily sponsors. So something like 40 things by the time you're done. So you can pick and choose and figure out which ones you want, which ones are the best. And I know because you have been falling in love with these brain trainers who are part of the Positive Mindset Entrepreneurs Club, that you definitely want to hang out with us. So if you're not in the club yet, make sure to join today. It's day 4. This limited time offer is going away. When you join the Positive Mindset Entrepreneurs Club right now, I will send you the pen of expectation in the mail. The pen of expectation, whatever you write with it, will come true. And yes, I do ship worldwide. And if you're in the club and you're like, hey, I want one of those things, look at the post I made yesterday, and I'll tell you how you can get one too. So I'm so happy that you are here, and I'm super excited to introduce you all to Lee Aubert. You know what she helps you do? She helps you to work well from home. We get into our businesses, we say, oh, what a great idea. I'm going to have an at-home business. And then suddenly we're our own bosses, and we're either bad bosses or we're bad employees, right? Either we're cracking the whip and making ourselves work too hard, or we're not working enough. And so how do you find that system and that style so that you find your best productivity without burning yourself out, doing too much, finding the way to work well from home? You want to be able to support a healthy practice, healthy lifestyle, supercharge your productivity, and still have a life and still enjoy your life. Then this is the interview for you. And I'd like to welcome Lee Aubert. Whoop, 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 whoop. The crowd goes wild. I am so happy you're here, Lee. It's so good to see you.
Thank you, Dana. I am so pleased to see you and to be able to talk to you and everybody else today.
And so let's start with where I started in the introduction. We all have this idea of what it's like to be an entrepreneur, and then suddenly we get at home and we're like, okay, now what do I do? Can you speak to, like, kind of some of the traps that people fall into, or what kind of, you know, different issues people have when they start working from home?
Yeah, there are generally 3 things that will crop up, even for people who have the best intentions for the world when they start their work from home journey. One of the first things is motivation. And a lot of people struggle with that, even when they're working in an office, a traditional environment, anything that's not work from home. So it can sometimes be magnified, because if you're not a brain trainer, the stuff can go around in your head about why you're not motivated, why you're not doing a thing, how important it is to go to the laundry, go do the dishes right now. So that can be an issue. The next thing that can happen is there's not necessarily a sense of accountability. You're definitely going to have either clients or some bosses, or maybe a boss when you work from home, but it gets a little bit easy sometimes to say, oh, I don't have to do that on a particular timeline. I can perhaps govern my own time. And then sometimes you can end up in a bit of a scramble trying to get things finished at the last minute. The other thing I find that people can struggle with is isolation. And so when you're not necessarily face to face with a community or seeing people regularly online, which can happen, it can be a little bit hard to get through that particular challenge of working from home or working remotely.
Yeah, those are all really, really good. And I think the interesting part about those is sometimes you don't even know you have those issues until you actually start working from home. And then you go like, I had no idea that I was social and that I really wanted to be around people until suddenly you're there and you're going like, oh my gosh, now what?
Yeah.
So the thing
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you about is I know that you have a phrase that you use that people tend to get into the productivity trap, and so maybe we should start out with like, what is the productivity trap?
The productivity trap can again come from some of the best intentions. And I know we've talked about this, Dana, in the club a whole lot. There's a culture out there that says that you've got to hustle and grind. And I mean, even those two words, when I say them, I feel a particular way. It's it can become a negative space. It can become a place where you think, oh, I've just got to bear down and push myself through this. And, I even feel my shoulders going up as I'm saying it. I feel a somatic
Yeah.
response. My body's, yeah. So I know that we get into a productivity trap when we listen to some of the best intentioned people in the world who just, again, have not discovered brain training that say, oh, you've got to get out there and work 85 hours a week and you got to push yourself all the time. And I think that's one of the key reasons why so many people end up in burnout.
Yeah, I agree. I think so too. Working too much, working too many hours. So I'm wondering then, so let's say, somebody they've got a business, they've started on their own, they are not really sure how to structure their day or how to set up the right support systems. Like when they start to work with you, what kinds of systems, I guess is the right word, maybe, I don't know, are you putting into place for them to say like, if you just start doing a few things, you can have a better flow for your day. What are some of those tenements that you live by, or what are some of those things where you say, do this thing first to get started?
One of the things that's really important is that each person knows what their work from home style is. There's lots of these articles that you'll see on BuzzFeed and Reddit and other online sites that say, oh, here are the 10 things that you have to have. But we're all a little bit different. So it's important to find out your style first, and then you can get into a routine that's going to help. You're going to have an environment or a setup that's going to be absolutely the best for you to be joyously productive. You're going to figure out ways to be able to work and stay well. This is why I talk about it as work well. It's not just work from home, it's work well from home. So there are a combination of about 8 different things that I've documented which are different for each of the different styles that people have for the way that they work from home. And they do range from things like, what are your meditation routines? What type of organizational setup do you have? There are several different categories, and getting into those grooves, getting into those habits, just as a starting point, can really get you going strong and solid.
Those of you who are wondering what your type is, stay tuned because I'll be talking about Lee. Lee's got a way for you to find that out here at the end, and I will definitely talk with you about that. And so it feels to me like one of the kind of tenets that you had alluded to a second ago was almost like less is more. Like you don't, working 18 hours a day or working a lot isn't necessarily the thing that's going to move the needle, which of course, as brain trainers, we 100% agree with you that, definitely less is more. And so can you speak to that a little bit about why you have to actually enjoy your life and not make it where you're stressed out and working so much?
Absolutely. And this is something that I discovered in all truth, Dina, all the more when I started working with you and when I joined the club, because
Yay.
I'm, thank you. As you know, my issue is not being motivated. I have that in spades. I'm ready to go any time of the day. But what I learned from you and from other great members in the club is that putting some white space into my calendar is not automatically going to turn me into a couch potato. And I
Yeah.
think there's a fear around that. There's that sense of, oh, I can't possibly slack off. What do you mean I'm going to have time for fun or time for play or time to hike up a mountain and soak in a hot spring?
That's great.
Yeah.
And so what have you found is the result of putting that white space in your calendar? Because now you're kind of actually pretty radical, like you've got a lot of white space in your calendar. So what have you found is the benefit of that for you?
I have found that being able to open up that time gives me brain space for creativity and innovation. Because as we all know, everybody, you have those great ideas when you're standing waiting for the subway or in the shower. So just having that white space in my day just opens my brain up to all sorts of great ideas. The other thing about just being able to have time for play and joy is the shift in my energy. And I know you've seen me go through this journey firsthand. My positive energy has always been strong, but it has really skyrocketed. And I know some of the folks in the club were saying, and you, wow, you're really on fire. And so just taking some time and pulling some stuff out of my calendar was like rocket fuel. And it's so counterintuitive because we think, oh, I've got to jam in one more thing. And that can totally backfire. So it's been great for my energy, my spirit, my productivity, my sense of fun. I mean, I can't give you the whole list just because there wouldn't be time for you to talk to our next great guest.
And it is, and it is, and you can feel your energy, and it is rocket fuel, and everything you're saying, and it fits so perfectly because your type is the type of person who you are motivated. You could, people maybe in a past life might have called you a workaholic or something like that because you are so okay with working. What if you're the opposite type? What if somebody is listening and they're the opposite type and they just can't get themselves to focus on work? Like they're always finding that other thing to do in the household that needs help. Like what's your solution for your type was like get more white space. What's the solution for that type of person?
It's actually the same thing, but it's just a little bit
Oh,
inside out. Because either way, it's a version of accountability.
mm,
When I created white space in my calendar, it was being more accountable to my sense of ease, my sense of joy. People who are struggling with that and saying, oh, I'm feeling like I'm dragging my feet. I don't really want to get going. I'm going to put this off. They also need accountability. But that's where things like community support comes in, working with a group, having a coach, they call them accountability buddies, the power hours, co-working groups. Those are the kind of things that I do with my clients that are
yeah.
especially helpful to folks that are they're having a hard time getting the motor started. And I totally get that. Even though that's not my work well from home style, I get that. And that's why I want to talk to all different types of styles because everybody's coming at it from a slightly different angle.
Well, and actually you set me up nicely for the next thing I was going to talk about because I do want to talk about body doubling. And I know like we're adding this into the club in like a little baby way, but this is your jam. Like you have a whole, setup for
Yeah.
people who really need people to body double with. And so can you talk a little bit about what body doubling is and why it works? Like, why is there some brain thing why it works, or why is it that it works? So, first, tell everybody what body doubling is.
So body doubling is when you're online and you can be in a group of just two people. You can be in a group of more people. It's best when it's facilitated by somebody. So that is the thing that I do with the folks that I work with. And you set a time and you're going to work for that particular time. And you may talk a little bit as a group at the first part, first few minutes and say, hey, I'm working on writing some emails. I'm working on getting some marketing copy. I'm working on proofreading a document. And you share that with everybody, and then you all mute your mics. Now you're still on camera and you're all working together. So, you'd see me doing this, and I'm not necessarily looking at you, but there's a fascinating thing that the brain does, even though we're not eyes up and looking at each other in the camera. You know how when you're in a horror movie, and you see the hero or the heroine is about to, open the door, and the monster's behind the door, and your body is going, oh, don't open the door, don't open the door. That is actually because of something called mirror neurons. Mirror neurons are something that is why, as humans, we're affected by other people's good news or bad news, what we see in a movie, what we see in a book. If we didn't have more mirror neurons, we would sit there at the movie and go, oh, he's going to open the door. The monster will get him. Now, unless there's something that's really, not going on the way it should in your mind, we all have that linked response. So body doubling has this amazing effect. Everybody figures, oh, my brain says, well, Dana's working on a thing, and the other person in the group is working, and so I can too. And it's not coercive. It's just this magic sort of community situation where everybody just ends up doing the same thing in the most productive way possible. And before you know it, the set time that you've decided on flies by. We don't usually go for more than an hour. Sometimes we'll do sessions that are half an hour, but then we take a break because that's important too. It's not about, being body doubling all day long. It's doing it in segments, and that works really well for people who are either trying to get more white space in their calendar or get their motors revved up and going. And it's been proven particularly effective for people who are neurodivergent or neurospicy, as some of my neurodivergent clients like to call themselves. Mirror neurons are something that can be really harnessed for those who are on the autism spectrum, have ADHD, or any other of the wonderful neurodivergent qualities that the human brain has.
I love this implementation for mirror neurons. Like, we use it so much. Like, if you smile at somebody, they tend to smile back. Like, we're so conditioned to it from just baby on. We don't even know what's happening, but we know that that's how it works. And so you're really tapping into that part of your brain that's so conditioned to pattern yourself. And I love everything that you said. And it's funny. I know I read a study too, where even if somebody is sitting in the room with you reading a book or doing something leisure, you will be more productive. Like, you will actually be more productive, even if that person is just sitting there doing something completely unrelated. Like, it's just such a cool concept. So what other type do you think needs to be addressed? You talked about the person who's working too much. You talk about the person who can't motivate themselves. Is there another kind of style or another type that you think really needs to be talked about?
Certainly. If there are people that want to be in community and yet really love working at home, body doubling can be a great blend.
Yeah.
Because there may be people who are watching this today who are taking a break from working at home. Yay for taking a break from working at home. I applaud you. And in doing so, they're not necessarily with us. Some may be with us live right now. Hi, if you are. But even if they're watching the recording after the fact, they're getting that human connection in a way that's going to make sense. It's a little break in their day. But when we can do it live, and we do our body doubling sessions live, it's just a great way to build community. I mean, we know this from the work that you do in the club. There is this amazing sense, literally from people all over the world, that we're a community. And so it does really help if you're dealing with that third issue that I talked about earlier, the isolation.
Yeah, needing community, really wanting to connect with people and socialize and have people who get you and get to know you. It does. It makes a really, really big difference to have, especially people of like mind. So I get that, Lee. That's really, really good stuff. So let's touch on mindset for just a minute and talk about how mindset has impacted your own life. You talked about adding white space to your calendar, and I'm going to guess that when you did that, you probably had some demons that you were grappling with about being able to take time for yourself. Like, what are your best methods for really being able to quiet that mind that is maybe not so positive?
Apart from regularly checking in at the club, which I've been traveling and I've missed a few weeks, but I'm in there often. I meditate every single day. And I journal every single day. And it doesn't even matter if it's a short meditation and a short journal. Those two practices anchor my spirit. They are the wellspring of my energy, my joy, my creativity. I take that time every morning, and I've been doing that for many, many years. I just got a notification on the app that I use that I'm coming up on X thousand days of meditation. So it's like, wow, that happened fast. But it's those are really key for me. Those are the two biggies.
Do you have any specific things that you journal? Like if somebody was going to start journaling, do you have any prompts that you use or any things that you specifically journal about on a day? We can compare notes because I do both of those things daily too. And it's fun when you get new ideas for things to write about in your journal. So let's hear some.
I don't often use journal prompts now. I used to. I'll come back to that in a minute. The thing that I've started doing, and I mean, I just open and I start writing anything. It's doesn't even, it can be from the Dear Diary, here's what I did yesterday style of thing. I generally just write about what I'm feeling. And I will often
Mhm.
anchor that to, well, yesterday I had a conversation with somebody and I felt this way. And what I observed in myself was this. What I love about that is because I have my journals going back to the 1970s.
That's great.
I know, I'm so lucky.
Yeah.
The years I had little kids, I'm a mom, and the years I had little kids at home, there was no journaling, let me tell you. When they were like babies, there was a big gap. So, there were gaps. But I'm able to go back now and say, oh wow, this is how my thinking has changed. This is an area where I've grown. This is an area where, a thing has continued to come up in different ways. And watching that change for me it's been healing, it's been informative. Sometimes it's really hilarious because I'm like, oh my gosh, I thought that then, wow, that's crazy, kind of thing. Just having a laugh and seeing how changes happened. In terms of prompts, I mean, there are a ton of really good apps to be able to give journal prompts. And again, it's a system that I used to use, but now I find that if I'm sitting down to write, it's about the day before, what I did, and how I felt. And it just feels great to process it that way.
Yeah, I do that every day as well. And Ellen here is saying she loves her 5-minute journal, and thank you for bringing that up. That it's 5 minutes because it doesn't need to be a long time, does it? Just like 5-minute touch base is good. I do some things every day. What I mean by prompts, like I have a little entry where I always say like the ways that I'm abundant. So every day I include a little thing of gratitude, of course, and a little thing of how I'm abundant. And one other little cheat that has helped me a lot to be able to look back on is being able to look at the moments. So every day I pick one moment that I'm like, this was a special moment. And so then you can just look at all the little moments. I love, and everybody in the chat is saying the same thing, like, holy cow, since 1970. Do you ever feel like, and I feel like this sometimes when I look back at my old journals, like, who is that person? Like, I don't even recognize that person. Like, isn't it reassuring to go like, and even sometimes like 2 years ago, like I'm like, oh my gosh, I've changed so much in just 2 years. Do you get those feelings too?
I do. I absolutely do. And it's really interesting because I'll see something that I talked about and thought, wow, wouldn't that be amazing? And now either it's something that's come true for me because it was a long held dream, or I look at it and I think, why would I have wanted that? Wow, that's really interesting. So yeah, I
You
find both. I find there are these threads and elements that keep going and they're always there. And then yeah, there is that sense of who the heck wrote this? Oh, it was me.
Well, and you brought up something interestingly too about the idea of when you're journaling, like you actually are manifesting. I mean,
Oh, yes.
that's really powerful, your words and the handwriting too.
I wrote 2 years ago about wanting to be a digital nomad.
Shut up. That's great.
I did. I could show you the very I was like, this is something I want to do. And of course, I don't know. No, I don't think you mentioned it, Dana. I am a proud Canadian and I usually work out of my home office in British Columbia. But today I'm coming to you from Iceland. I am working in a
Yeah,
home office
that's
in
right.
Iceland this week and I did last
Yay.
week. So yeah, and it's interesting because it is manifesting. It really
Yeah.
is. And it's so I just love the power in that. And of course, you go back and you see, because I do often go back and I take a look. Sometimes I'll take a look and say, okay, what did I write 7 years ago today? What did I write a year ago today? What did I write 28 years ago today? Whatever it is, or 40 or 50, and it's like, oh, look, I did it.
Yeah.
So I
That's
love that.
exciting,
Yeah.
isn't it? There really is. There's power in
Yeah.
words, as we know. Like, this is why we're brain trainers. There's power in what you put out there, and you're putting it out there in your words every day, even if it's just 5 minutes a day. So it's great. Lee, oh my gosh, this is so juicy and so good and so much fun. Let's say, what would you tell people who are listening now if you could give them like one piece of advice, like, if you could just shift your mindset in this way, or if you could start this daily practice, maybe besides meditation and journaling, if you could, my message to the world, or the thing that I would like you to know, what would be that thing where you would say, like, really, here's the thing I want to leave you with? What nugget would you like to share with us?
If nobody takes away anything else from this except these two words, I would say trust yourself. There is so much out there. There's chatter, there's clatter. Some of it's really well intentioned, some of it isn't, but much of it is either by design or by accident inclined to make us doubt that we can do what we have in our power to do. So trust yourself is one of my number one mantras.
Oh, I love that so much. It's so good. And really, everybody, that is a great mantra. Thank you so much for that, Lee. It's been such a joy to chat with you. I love it. And don't you just love that closing remark, everybody? Don't you just love this idea to just trust yourself? Like, what if you just told yourself that every day? Like, just trust yourself. You're fine. You're doing fine. You're making good decisions. You're on your way. It's already happening. So much good stuff from Lee there, right? Really listen to what she has to say. You might even want to re-listen to the interview about finding your best style, meditating, journaling. For those of you who are specifically wondering what your work well from home style is, she's got a free quiz for you. How do you get it? You go to that link in the description. And when you look at that link in the description, you will be able to find the link to Lee's quiz, find out specifically what your style is, and then you'll get customized recommendations on how to optimize your well-being using that style. So definitely go take her quiz. You get it by going to that link in the description and getting that quiz and doing it. And remember, you don't only get Lee's quiz, but you get everybody else's freebies today, and you get our sponsors freebies. For example, Tracy Hess, speaking of quizzes, she's got a quiz about identifying your hair type. I'm going to tell you something about Tracy. She's, first of all, the Identify Your Hair Type quiz gives you lots of good information about hair, but she has these barrettes that are amazing in her line. If you've ever had a hard time having barrettes stay in your hair, go check out Tracy's freebie. Go take that quiz, get into her world, and check it out. I also want to share the other mantra besides trust yourself from Lee. She left this one and I just love it. I have so much ease and flow in my schedule because I'm ahead, right? Oh, yes, I'm ahead. Isn't that a good feeling instead of always feeling like you're behind? Fantastic mantra. So fun. Remember, you can hang out with all these people in the Positive Mindset Entrepreneurs Club. It's so easy to join. Look for the link in the description. Today's the last day of the summit. When you join, you get the pen of expectation. Everything you write with it will come true. And yes, I do ship it worldwide. If you're already on the club, there's a way for you to get it too. Look at the post I made yesterday in the club. Next up in the Joypreneur Summit is Kim Lyday. Oh my gosh, has she got stuff for us? She's not only a holistic healing abundance coach, she's a music therapist. And so we're going to talk a lot about the power of sound, the power of music, and her jam is really helping people have more abundance. And so you know that we're going to get so much goodness out of that. And it's happening in 32 minutes, top of the hour. I will be right back here. I will see you there, and we will be talking about abundance, sound, healing, allowing the flow, getting into, it's going to be so good. I know you're going to love it. And I love all the good comments coming in. It's so fun to do this. I'm so happy that you're here with me. I will see you very soon.